More than 100 Manhattan Project scientists secretly tried to stop the atomic bomb from being used. And for decades, almost nobody knew. While the world remembers mushroom clouds and victory speeches, a different story stayed buried. One hidden in classified memos, censored petitions, and government files locked away for years. These weren't protesters outside the gates. They were the men inside the labs, the ones building the bomb. They warned that using it would change warfare forever. They begged for restraint, and they were quietly ignored. Declassified documents now reveal a suppressed rebellion at the heart of the most secret project in history. This is the story of that rebellion and why their warning was buried. The official story of the Manhattan Project is clean and simple. In World War II, the United States raced to build an atomic bomb before Nazi Germany could. Scientists worked under intense secrecy. The bomb was finished just in time. It was used, the war ended. That version leaves little room for doubt or debate, but it skips something crucial. By the time the atomic bomb was ready in the summer of 1945, Germany had already surrendered. The original justification, the fear of Hitler with nuclear weapons, was gone. Yet the project didn't stop. Inside laboratories in Los Alamos and Chicago, the scientists who understood the bomb best began asking a question that history rarely mentions. If the enemy we feared is defeated, why are we still doing this? And that question would push some of them to take an extraordinary risk. One of the first to voice serious concern was Leo Szilard. Szilard wasn't just another physicist. He was one of the men who had originally pushed the United States to pursue nuclear weapons out of fear that Nazi Germany would get there first. But by mid-1945, his fear had shifted. He realized the bomb was no longer aimed at preventing a nuclear-armed Hitler. It was likely going to be dropped on cities, on civilians. In Chicago, where parts of the Manhattan Project operated under the cover of the University of Chicago, Szilard began writing letters. In one, he warned that using the bomb without warning would spark a global arms race and permanently destabilize international relations. Other scientists agreed. They spoke quietly in offices and hallways, aware that secrecy laws meant a single wrong word could end careers, or worse. So they chose a dangerous path. They decided to formally challenge the government that had sworn them to silence. The rebellion took shape as a petition, not a protest, not an ultimatum, a carefully worded scientific appeal. Drafted primarily by Leo Szilard in July 1945, the petition argued that the atomic bomb should not be used on Japanese cities without warning. Instead, it proposed alternatives: a public demonstration of the bomb's power on an uninhabited area, or, at minimum, a clear warning to Japan before deployment. The scientists' logic was cold and rational. They warned that once the bomb was used in war, nuclear weapons would become normal, that other nations, especially the Soviet Union, would race to build their own, and that humanity would step into an era where total annihilation was always one decision away. This wasn't ideology, it was foresight. The petition was circulated quietly among Manhattan Project scientists. Many hesitated. Signing meant attaching your name to something that could be interpreted as disloyal during wartime. Still, dozens signed. Historians estimate that over 70 scientists eventually added their names. But here's where the story turns dark. The petition was never meant to be public.
It was supposed to go up the chain of command, through military leadership, to President Harry Truman himself. Instead, it hit a wall. According to declassified records and later historical research, senior officials within the project intercepted the petition. They argued it wasn't the role of scientists to influence political decisions. They claimed it could undermine morale. They feared it could delay deployment. So the document was quietly set aside, filed, suppressed, never shown to the man who would decide the bomb's fate. The scientists waited. No response came, and within weeks the bomb was loaded onto planes. So who stopped the petition, and why was silence considered safer than debate? Historical records strongly suggest that President Truman never saw the Szilard petition before Hiroshima. The decision to block it appears to have been made by military and administrative leaders who believed the war had to end quickly and decisively. From their perspective, the bomb wasn't just a weapon, it was leverage against Japan, against the Soviet Union, against the uncertain post-war world. After the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the scientists who opposed its use didn't disappear, but they became inconvenient. Some, like Szilard, turned openly against nuclear proliferation, lobbying for international control of atomic weapons. Others faced increased scrutiny during the early Cold War. And one figure symbolized the cost of dissent more than any other: J. Robert Oppenheimer. Though he supported the project during the war, his later opposition to nuclear escalation made him a political liability. In the 1950s, his security clearance was stripped, not for espionage, but for questioning the future of atomic weapons. The story of the petition itself stayed buried until years later, when documents were declassified and historians pieced it together. By then, the arms race the scientists feared was already well underway.
The atomic bomb didn't just change history. The decision to ignore the people who tried to stop it changed history too. We remember the weapon, we remember the explosion, but we almost forgot the conscience behind it. The darkest secret of the Manhattan Project isn't that scientists built a bomb, it's that some of them understood its danger and were silenced when they spoke up. Their warning wasn't wrong, it was just inconvenient. If you want more hidden stories the textbooks leave out, subscribe to Mask of History, because the past looks very different once you take the mask off.